Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Combat Conversations, and I'm your boy AG, aka the Combat Connoisseur, aka the Boxing Guru. And I'm joined as always by my man DB. What's going on today, baby?
What's going on, AG? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I just can't understand exactly what it is that you laughing at right now, and you kind of got me with the gigglies right now.
I mean, man, what you've been telling our audience? I mean, bro, you're not catching another body, cuz it's not happening.
They racking up. I mean, they got the charts over there on the back of the boards when you walk in the studio every time, and they rack. I don't think you've seen those yet. That's right. They put
you've
those
you've already fired Bill from the analytic team because you didn't like the results he was telling you.
I mean, look,
I was straight bodying you on every episode.
Man, look, that's not even okay. But out there where it matters with the results coming back, that's where it matters. And we're going to get into that because it's almost like everything I said was almost spot on. And I followed down your path on one thing, and you led me astray. You know, and I don't even want to say that I probably would have went the other way.
What did I lead you to astray on?
Ciryl Gane was a disappointment. And look, here's my thing. I liked him. I picked him. You didn't put that pick to my head and make me pick it. But I'll be damned if you wasn't high on my man's. And
I was high, like for the first 2 rounds. I mean,
you had me believing in him more than I should, like the Tooth Fairy.
Hey, the first 2 rounds, my prediction was reigning true. I mean, he was fighting Ngannou from the outside. He went up 2-0, and then Ngannou wants to morph into Kamaru Usman and wrestle his way to a dub. Like,
all right, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So I'm still kind of upset about that. But the Gary Russell Magsayo fight again. What happened? Spot on. Go back prediction. Gary Russell with the excuses. Video shows Magsayo caused that injury. So that whatever injury he said he came in pre-fight, he's gonna have to come up with something else. Because you can't blame that injury that you had on what happened, because video evidence shows that it was a punch that caused that injury from your stoppage thereafter.
He ain't like it.
I mean, ring rust?
No, he ain't like it.
I know you ain't a fan of the ring rust excuse.
I'm not.
I mean, you made some good points as to why it's not. So we gonna get hard into the ring rust conversation with my man Keith Thurman and that coming up. But we also had some past events. We had Makabu versus Machunu, another episode in the Canelo saga.
Was Canelo there?
I don't know if he was or not. I don't recall seeing him, because we was actually supposed to go. Plans actually changed. We wound up not going. Looking at it now, we still wind up seeing it on television, but
didn't miss anything.
Yeah, you didn't miss much, and I don't know
miss much.
If Canelo showed up. I don't think they showed him, and I don't think so, because my opinion is he didn't come because there's other talks now of Charlo, and we'll get into that.
I was getting ready to say that. I'm like, it probably didn't even matter because
he might not.
It's going around now that
might
Charlo
not be going that route anymore. Yeah, I agree. So that's just another episode in the Canelo saga. Then Bellator had another heavyweight fight. Bader versus Moldavsky. Now, we was obviously more definitely into the UFC, but these two cats that, hey, they feel like they could make a run and some noise in the heavyweight division. Now, if one goes on a run, he's going to be popping off that I could beat Francis. I could beat whoever's the champ at UFC. So,
you have to.
Got to show Bellator its respect.
Well, it's not even that, you just can't be a little bitch about it. Bellator's got to do their thing, promote their brand, but come on, we all know they ain't fucking with the UFC. The only guy right now from Bellator that I would really give a shot at the UFC, AJ McKee.
And when's he gonna fight again? I mean, it's been a while for him. There's got to be something. I
don't know.
He wins the belt and he's already turning into somebody who don't fight much, turning into a Gary Russell Jr. Basically just a Keith Thurman fighting once a year every 2 years. So I don't know. I hope he don't turn into that. That wouldn't be good for Bellator.
No.
He's marketable. He's gotta get in the ring. So on the same card as that Machunu, we had a heavyweight fight too that could be implications that could ruin some nonsense with the heavyweight division in Fury and Usyk, with Trevor Bryan being the WBA regular champ. I hope, the WBA is trying to get rid of all these belts. I hope they don't do something silly like put him up against him too early to ruin all this Fury Undisputed thing.
You know they will. Come on, you know how boxing works. You know they're gonna do that.
Nah, they better not do that. Because the WBA will be happy for them for cleaning up their act. But then again, at the same time, don't get in to messing with something that we want to see just because you're trying to clean up your act on a good thing. And that's not necessarily what we want to see. So hold off on that. Just strip him of his belt. We'll talk about that. I mean, that fight don't even need to be, that was trash. And coming up, we got Keith Thurman fighting Barrios this coming weekend. That's going to be hot. We got Clarissa Shields.
Quote.
Self-proclaimed GWOAT. Maybe some others call it a GWOAT. I'm not ready to call it a GWOAT yet. Because I feel like there's a lot of women who have been undisputed. You even got Jessica McCaskill right now, who's a bad bitch. I mean, she can fight. She's got every single belt you can imagine, cuz I'm all the way real with you. She's the fucking WBA, WBO, WBC, IBF, IBO, ring, lineal, everything, cuz she's like all 7 of them. Like, it's ridiculous. So if we're gonna call Clarissa Shields winning undisputed, which I believe, she was a 2-time Olympic medalist and everything, and it's like, sure, she's great, but I'm not ready to call it a GWOAT yet when you got the likes of Amanda Serrano about to fight Katie Taylor, and then we want Clarissa Shields to fight Savannah Marshall real bad. So women's boxing is really getting traction.
Hey, real quick, what you think about the GOAT, Jake Paul, as a promoter?
Getting it done. And I was in a discussion with somebody not too long ago. Even if Jake Paul takes an L inside the ring, his stock will drop as a fighter, but his respect in the game as a promoter in MVP Promotions and what they're trying to do in Amanda Serrano and working with Eddie Hearn now, I really do believe Jake Paul can leave and stay in the boxing and leave a lasting legacy, even if he loses a fight.
Yeah, no, I agree, especially in the promote game.
Yeah, what he's doing with MVP Promotions right now is nice. Like I said, I talked about it on a previous episode of Combat Conversations. What he's doing with the entertainment and the legitimacy at the same time. The first fight on his card was the Amro versus the other fella, and I don't remember their names right off the bat. But that's the thing. You don't need to know everybody's name in boxing to get a quality fucking matchup.
And then I think it was on the first Tyron Woodley fight on that card. That's when we first heard about Montana Love.
Exactly. Shout out to that. Very good ass point. And that first fight was 2 guys 20-0.
And then he ended up getting a deal with Eddie Hearn's Matchroom.
So, and if Eddie Hearn signing him, it was legitimate. And we was all high on Montana Love after that. I fucks with some Montana Love. T.O., come see Montana Love
Montana.
at 140. Who would you favor in that fight?
Montana.
I'd favor Montana too. T.O.'s got some demons right now. Holy shit, dude. Did you see that?
Bro, he's Cambosis.
I mean, I don't even necessarily need to repeat or whatever he said, but it's like, dude, you saying shit like that.
Broke. He's broken.
Man,
his confidence is shattered.
George Cambosis fucked him up physically and mentally, bro.
Bro, ended his career.
Damn. Okay, so that's a side note. So after the Clarissa Shields fight, we got Chris Eubank Jr. taking on Liam Williams. And I fucks with some Chris Eubank Jr. His swag is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
The way he shows up with that fur coat. He said he told Liam Williams, which I like what Boxer does over there. A few of them, PBC was doing it too. They actually kind of stopped where they had that Boxer face off and stuff at the beginning. So that was actually pretty cool. But he basically told Liam Williams, he said, "You're not going to see the 12th round, son." That like point blank period.
Damn, like that? Just like that?
Just like that. So we anxious for fireworks in that one.
What round you think he's going to take him out in?
It's going to be, I'm going to go ahead and say late 10th, early 9th, somewhere in that era.
I'll say it's 8th round stoppage.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely going that on too. So we're going to have some predictions coming up, but let's swing it all the way back around. We know we got a full episode ahead, but let's delve into that UFC 270 that happened last week with Francis and Cyril Gane. Man, what a hyped up event.
Damn, you just going to jump over Moreno and Figgy just like that?
I mean, I just did. So, you want to get into Moreno Figgy first?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it. What you had? I know you had something on the tip of your tongue.
I mean,
holla at us.
Look,
we
just
listen.
like I think it was DC that said it. I mean, no one in the history in the UFC, like no two fighters have fought 4 times. Would you give that? Would you ever?
Okay, so
you think that's worthy of a 4th fight?
Oh yeah, no doubt. So that was the first trilogy that ever happened back to back to back, right?
Right.
And this would also now potentially be the first one to happen 4 times ever.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, definitely. Especially because this, man, look, we went back and forth on this for real. I really gave Moreno the edge because of the overall striking, and the more active guy. So that was just me kind of bringing Brown kind of like to the Regis Josh Taylor fight. Regis a little more active, landing some punches, but some argue that Josh Taylor's punches seemed a little more flush, so they gave him the dub. That's the way I felt the Moreno was going, his flush shots, but he wasn't as totally convincing. So that's why I went that way.
He knocked
but
Moreno
I can't be
down
mad.
3 times.
I can't be mad at the outcome though, because outside of that, he didn't look like a guy that should have did that 3 times.
Well, I mean, here's one way to look at it. The first fight, I thought Figgy won, but that was a draw. Second fight, Moreno won, and then this previous fight, Figgy won. So it would make sense for a 4th fight because they're both 1-1 with the draw. I
seen something where it said Moreno and Figgy should just fight once a year until they retire. I mean, that would be a worthy fight at least once a year. Put that on one of your biggest cards and you'll probably get something nice every time. That's got good residuals.
I mean, hey, we watched all 3 fights, and can you really say you were disappointed with all 3 fights?
No, I haven't. And to be honest, same thing. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. I mean, all 3 have been entertaining. Needless to say, I mean, was you watching one that really thought was boring? I guess the second one maybe because Fury was so dominant.
I mean,
but the last one went all the way. The first one was classic.
Me being a Tyson Fury fan, like obviously I didn't think the second fight was terrible, but I mean it wasn't close. It was a straight runaway. It was an ass whooping. But yeah, the first fight was fantastic.
Went 12 rounds. Deontay Wilder knocking him down 2 times.
Fury rising like Lazarus, like
exactly,
like the Undertaker.
Exactly. And I get you on the second one a little more dominant, but the third one again got the 2 knockdowns. Close fight. It regardless how you want to put it, Fury was put against the ropes and had to crawl out.
I disagree to an extent. The first 5 rounds, it was looking like that, but then the rest of the way, it was just all Fury.
I mean, hey, it was, but needless to say, tough, grueling fight.
Excitement,
yeah,
drama.
Tough, grueling fight throughout the whole thing. Same thing with that. So, but if you feeling Figgy come out on top, which inevitably he did, justifiable decision, right?
Hey, and Figgy's also working with Triple C, and who else is working with Triple C? John Jones.
Uh-oh. So, let's get into Francis and Gane, just so we could get to John Jones. Explain this again what you said you saw. First 2 rounds was going as predicted. Now, we argued about that too.
It wasn't dominant.
It was not dominant.
Did leave a lot on the table.
A lot on the table.
But with a guy like Francis who has straight up knockout, turn your lights out type of power, I mean, You gotta fight the way that Gon did. You gotta fight the way that he did. And your first 2 rounds, I had Gon up 2-0. I think you had Gon up 2-0.
I did.
The next 3 rounds, Francis Ngannou morphs into Kamaru Usman, and
it's just, I remember, I know we, obviously when we watching these fights, we've talked about it before. We score ourselves. I'm sure you all do too when y'all watching. You all give your own prediction of scoring. I ain't saying you record it, but you know exactly what you would give if somebody asked you what you scored that round. And I think you also would remember how definitively you would score that round versus what a swing round could be.
Right.
And I feel like when I gave Gon those first 2 rounds, they could have been swing rounds. And I'm even curious. I did see the judges' scorecard, and none of them, they wasn't identical. It's like all 3 judges saw 3 different fights, which is what always fucking happens.
I mean, I felt like in the 5th round, Gon could have won that, but I felt like he got desperate trying to go for that heel hook, and bro, like, when Ngannou's on top of you, you're not getting up.
No, his strength. We talk about his power punching.
That is a big ass motherfucker.
Yeah, he's a big dude. And for him to develop them wrestling skills like that, and would you say morph in the Usman? It was something that not many of us seen coming.
No. And what was it that you said? Ngannou working with Usman, it just was able to contain what Gon did best.
You saw the residuals. And I say that's one of my favorite words to use when it comes to guys working together, people training, switching trainers, different camps. I always say, see the residuals. And you actually seen that. If Francis is not working with Usman and you don't get that type of performance because he might be going back to something else.
And then on top of that, and you can take it however you want to take it, but after the fight, it was announced that Francis had a torn MCL. Dude hip tossed a 250-pound man on a torn MCL.
You know how I feel about those knee injuries. I mean, I feel like if these guys have torn crucial ligaments, it's kind of tough to really do what they do and not have a problem for that long. But hey, who am I to judge? I'm no doctor. I'm not in the ring. I didn't examine them. It is what it is. You got to take it with a grain of salt. At least I view it from both sides. Many fans just take one side and run with it. But you don't know.
It's just one of those things, like you said, time and time again, like, it makes the win that much better, and then if you lose, it's
a built-in excuse. If T.O. would have beat George Kambosos and comes and find out he's got a respiratory illness, hey, it's like, damn, I beat him with that. Just imagine how I'd have murked him if I was healthy. But on the flip side of that, since he lost, hey, I had something wrong with me. So
no, that's like a mini Deontay Wilder.
Oh, we know, and I'm glad he got schooled. But that's like we said, T.O.'s got his own demons. He needs to be fighting right now. As much as I'd love to pile on, we'll pile on when it comes time when he's back around in the news. But
oh no, fuck that. I'll pile on him anytime any chance I get.
Then we had Gary Russell Jr. versus Magsayo on PBC Showtime. Now, basically boiled down exactly how I myself predicted. Magsayo was just better from the jump. Even the first couple rounds when Gary Russell Jr. was so-called healthy, had both arms, Magsayo was still winning that. Then there was a time in the 3rd round, a punch that Magsayo hit right on the shoulder, and Gary Russell's jab became non-existent. I don't even think he threw a jab for the last 8 rounds.
All right, so let me ask you this. If you're in Gary Russell Jr.'s corner, you're his trainer, that's your fighter, what would you tell him what he needs to do to get on the right track, to get on the winning track?
First off, maybe he needs to go up, but I don't think him being at that weight was a problem. Like, we gonna talk about with Barrios. Apparently, him going to 140 and fighting Tank drained him. I heard that. I read the reports. It was just there. But now that he's at 147, Barrios is supposed to be a little bit more of a natural welterweight. So he can give Thurman's more problem than he gave Tank. But Thurman's a much better fighter than Tank. So we'll get to that here in a second. But
hey, I mean, if he schools Thurman, then hey, that looks good for him. But if not, then it's like, all right, what's the next excuse?
Yeah, so it's just weird. So, but what I would tell Gary Russell is you got to be a little bit more active. You fighting 5 times in 7 years is not helping, bro. It's not helping. You got to be a little bit more active. You could use ring rust as an excuse if you want. It's legitimate. Some people will take it and run with it.
Now, you would probably know this better than me, but like, has he been fighting quality competition? Like, has he been going through like death row?
No, he had a few cherry picks, and I think he had one Mando. That's it. And this made number 2.
And he's still putting out the performance that he's putting out.
Yeah, it was almost terrible. Like, for you to be laid off that long,
so then,
one could say
he ain't like it.
One could say that too. He's definitely fallen off. But one could also say, if you've had that much time off, you've had all this time to get in shape. What's your excuse? Like, but again, his excuse is the injury. He's claiming the injury when video evidence shows a punch that triggered the injury that wasn't there the first couple rounds because that jab was there.
Right.
He was jabbing and using it. But then all of a sudden it becomes non-existent when Magsayo lands that punch. So again, I think it should have been unanimous because Magsayo clearly won the fight, but they tried to somehow give it to my mans, but they just couldn't do it. So they come up with the split decision. And I predicted a split decision, but at the last second I said, I think it's going to be unanimous. So it's kind of like it was a unanimous fight because nobody should have thought Gary Russell Jr. won that fight. But it wound up officially on the scorecards being a split decision. So, again, like I said, I was only wrong that weekend once, and that was because you led me to the water hole and it was dry.
Bro,
I did not
lead you.
A brick by your standards.
He did.
That's all I'm going to say.
I'm not going to say he completely choked because, I mean, you got to give credit to where credit is due.
I do.
And
I feel you.
You know, Francis was the first guy to ever put Ciryl Gane on his back. He didn't just do it once.
Right.
He did it throughout from round 3 to round 5.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
he didn't lose to no scrub. He didn't lose to no scrub by no means.
You can't completely shit on Gane. You got to give credit where credit is due. But it's like, hey, I predicted he was going to strike him from the outside. He was going to mix in some leg kicks. He was doing that through the first 2 rounds. But, you know, I feel like Ciryl Gane, this is a good loss for him. You know, I believe he'll bounce back. I do think he will be champion eventually because, you know, even though Francis won, I mean, his future in the UFC is still kind of murky. You know, going on with what Dana White and the whole, you know, fighter pay thing. I mean, so we don't know.
You don't like fighter pay. Francis, go start your own damn promotion and pay your fighters 10, 30 mil what you want.
Bro, Dana White basically told everybody to suck his dick.
He did. He said, fuck y'all motherfuckers. He did. Excuse our French. But if you go watch the video, I believe they got some cuss words in it that Dana actually said. Like, he's actually getting pissed off about it.
I mean, like, it's easy to complain about fighter pay, but I bet if anybody was in Dana's position, you would probably see why he runs his business the way that he does.
Yeah.
And all right, let's be honest. I get it. Francis Ngannou, he's the baddest man on the planet. He's the heavyweight champ of the world. He's shown what he's worth. He believes what he's worth. He believes he should be paid more. I get that. That's cool. But look, $600,000, that's a year's worth of salary.
Yeah, he cannot fight again and be good for the year.
Right. So it's like, you know, you get 2 or 3 fights, and that's almost $2 million.
Yeah, but you know they're not looking at it that way. They're looking at market value. and I believe we saw some statistics before. Again, we're only going by what's reported and what we believe to be credible sources, but they only give less than 20% of their total revenue, as opposed to other promotions giving upwards of 40 and 45. Not saying that they have to. Maybe that's what's made UFC so big, is running it the way they do. And Dana's going to tell you that firsthand.
No fighter is above the brand.
But numbers can tell you that based off what you're bringing, you've already been established. You are in the game, Dana. UFC is here. And unless you run it in the ground, it's here to stay. How about giving them a raise?
Absolutely.
There's no reason why not. You know, and he's going to talk about the fighter of the year, fight of the night, performer of the night. He's offering bonuses. But again, that's not essentially upping the pay X percentage to really make them satisfied.
It's not, but it's also on the fighter to sell the fight.
Well, that's debatable. It's on some of your job too. If you want people to watch you, you got to go out there and promote. But I work for UFC. I mean, you know, I fight for UFC. You're an established brand. People, I guess, are supposed to come watch. They want to watch UFC, and I want to be a part of that. So, like when young fighters pick Top Rank or PBC or Matchroom and Boxer, it's like, who they think is going to promote them better. So I guess if a young MMA fighter's eyes, what if he feels Bellator is going to treat him better, even though he knows Bellator might not bring in the viewership and the profits that they do, but yet just for the sake of fighting, I'm going to Bellator.
That's not necessarily true, because like Corey Anderson, he used to fight in the UFC, and he's already came out and said he's made more in Bellator in the last few fights than he has in the
Okay,
UFC.
I get you. I was talking about revenue bringing in total and what they could potentially pay you. Girl. You know, again, I don't know. Bellator has done some of these series that's had champions win $1 million. You know, they have a grand prize when they have the Grand Prix and stuff. So that's a little bit different. So, but just to my overall point, you could kind of pick and choose, and that's essentially what Dana's getting at. You don't like the way UFC's ran? Go fight somewhere else or start your own promotion. It is what it is. So,
nonetheless, it was a great card, though.
Yeah, nonetheless, great card. So, into 270, we'll be looking forward to 271 out of Sanye.
Bobby
Knuckles. Hey, definitely one for next episode. We definitely gonna get into that. But something happening too soon we got to get into. My man, Keith, sometimes Thurman versus Mario Leftovers from Tank Barrios. How you feeling about this fight, big dog?
I mean, I know Keith Thurman's the favorite, but I'm gonna go with Barrios. You know, I know what's gonna happen.
Hold on. I get Magsayo over Russell was my first bold prediction of 2022. And do I see you the next weekend stepping out on a limb with your bold prediction?
Yeah, you do.
Of Barrios over Thurman?
Yeah, you do.
I don't know if I'm getting down with that one. But go ahead, though. You was about to speak on it.
I mean, I just think he's going to come out. He's not going to look like the Keith Thurman of old. We're going to get the ring rust excuse. You know how I feel about that, but I just feel like that's the way it's going to go down.
Let's not forget how good Keith Thurman really was. Keith Thurman was the top welterweight before he lost to Pacquiao, but essentially not 18, 20 months ago, he was top dog. And one could argue he won that fight with Pacquiao, but the knockdown made the difference.
I mean,
just saying.
If he wins, he wins. I'll eat crow. You know, I've had no issue admitting when I'm wrong. So, but okay. I just feel like Mario Barrios, I feel like he's a more active fighter. Godfather moment.
He's definitely the more active fighter.
Godfather moment.
Keith sometimes Thurman is only,
sometimes.
It ain't one time no more. I mean, I guess sometimes. You could say he's fought one time in the past 2 years.
Godfather moment. Shout out to Marlon Brando.
Already. But I just can't see Barrios getting up for this one. I know he's supposed to be, like I alluded to before, a little bit more of a natural welterweight. It's not going to drain him to lose. He gets extra 7 pounds. But I just can't see him. I never saw Mario Barrios on the level of Keith Thurman. Even when he went into that fight with Tank, he was still kind of like an underdog. And nobody was really bringing the weight in early. I feel like it's a late excuse. It drained me, and you get all this stuff.
So are you saying that Keith Thurman is just gonna downright dominate?
I'm not saying that either, because I'm not saying Keith Thurman's gonna come in and look like he was supposed to look leading into Pacquiao.
So you got Keith
because
Thurman
I'm
by
going
decision?
exactly. I'm going based off his last performance, and albeit he was fighting a great Pacquiao, maybe Mario Barrios' chin could be a little bit more sturdy at that level, hoping, because Thurman doesn't necessarily possess that knockout power Tank has, but he's a better boxer. By all means, he's better. Keith Thurman is a much better boxer than Tank Davis.
Okay.
Yeah, just putting that out there.
Okay.
So I'm going Keith Thurman in probably just a unanimous decision. I don't think he's going to take Barrios out. That's my prediction.
You think it's going to be like a dominant unanimous
No, I
decision
just
win?
told your ass that. Is you not listening? Do I need to get analytics team to run this back for you the moment we out this damn studio? I mean, shit, you could join Sally and them.
I thought you fired Sally.
We did. That's why I said you could follow her. Out. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. I'm bullshitting. But still, Keith sometimes Thurman is back, and this is about to be epic. So that's coming.
It's just going to be a boring unanimous decision victory.
Okay. Then we're going to have a little Matchroom too. Matchroom squeezes in there. This ain't the biggest Matchroom fight of the year. It ain't even the biggest Matchroom fight coming up. But
you already know Eddie Hearn's going to be putting
on a good one. So, we got to talk about it.
Pound for pound, best promoter in the game.
Hey, Jake Paul.
P. Diddy.
Jake Paul is vying for that spot. He's coming for that pound for pound best promoter in the game.
I mean, but he's out here
putting on legit quality
here,
fights and entertainment.
He's out here dressing like P. Diddy, though. He's out here dressing like Eddie Hearn.
Trying to be just like him. Hey, learn from the best. Top pound for pound Eddie Hearn. So you got Jesse Rodriguez back, who's a young prospect, undefeated. He'll look good. So look out for that Matchroom card. Then we got early in the day, Boxer. Boxer's legit. They ain't got all this bullshit surrounding them like Top Rank and PBC and Al Heyman and Bob Arum. Boxer is just...
No, you got to throw Matchroom in there too. I like Eddie Hearn, but they be doing that bullshit too.
I will agree, because the face of it is just, you don't really have a face of Boxer. The Eddie Hearns and Bob Arums and stuff and the Al Heymans know exactly who their counterparts are in Boxer, but the fans don't. It's not...
I mean, I know the fight's long overdue, but it's like, for whatever reason, PBC, Top Rank, Matchroom, whatever, for whatever reason, they can't get the Conor and Brooks fight to go, but here we go. We got Boxer, and it's like...
We got Boxer stepping in and all of a sudden putting this shit on
made.
8 years too late, but...
Nonetheless, it's happening.
It's happening, so kudos to Boxer.
And then not only that, but we got your boy, Regis Prograis.
Regis Prograis is on Probellum.
Exactly.
Probellum is also stepping up in the game, doing the same
Boxer,
exact thing.
Exactly.
Same exact thing. No real face to it. We know who started it because they just came out with a memo not too long ago. Probellum is fresh new. And my man Regis got to fight all that shit you was talking. Here comes that Regis Prograis, Rougarou. Shout out to my mans fighting McKinney. I know you saw that interview he did on DAZN, I believe it was, and they asked old buddy.
They asked old buddy, how do you stop Regis Prograis? And he's like,
hey,
I don't.
Chirp. I mean, he stuttered for like 5-6 seconds, and Regis was like, see?
There you go. He don't know.
He don't know how he's going to stop me. So that's coming. But just to your point, Probellum is doing the same thing. No real face to go with it like Bob Arum, Top Rank, Al Heyman, PBC, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom. But they are going to get good quality promotions and put on the fights we want to see without the political bullshit. I'm willing to gamble on that they're going to be here for the long haul.
So with that being said, how you feeling about this whole situation between Tyson Fury and Dillian White?
Again, I don't know what went on. Top rank, Tyson Fury, Dillian White, Matchroom can't come together, make a fucking deal. It's got to go to purse bid. And then who steps in? Queensberry Promotions for a record-breaking bid if the fight happens.
And let's be honest, this kind of fight, it ain't worth that.
Let's be honest. Outside of the diehard fans, who knew about Queensberry Promotions? That's what I'm saying. You got Wasserman Boxing, who's very big in the game, just to name other few. But there's not. Queensberry come from fucking left field. All because Top Rank and Matchroom couldn't make a deal together. And that's what's wrong with boxing, as you alluded to before. There's so much positivity in boxing to talk about. Absolutely boatloads. But on the flip side of that coin, there is enough negative shit to shoot themselves in the foot.
Like, boxing is not dead. I've said this time and time again. It's not dead. And a lot of these old heads out here talking that shit, talking about how it's dead, it ain't the same. No, it's not. Like, there are plenty of fights to be made. They're just not getting made.
And I believe a lot of the reason is the fighters themselves. I get it, but many fighters have alluded to before, the promoters and the managers work for us in the boxing as opposed to UFC. Completely different. The fighters work for Dana White. You don't like it, you can hit the road. The boxer is the boss of the business on their side. You don't like, I mean, obviously there's contracts involved. I get that. But like Terrence Crawford, once contract runs out, I don't want you no more. I'm hitting the road, Doc. You don't work for me no more. I'm going to get another manager and promoter. That's what's so is a little bit involved with the fighter. But again, if you sign your contract to a promoter and he handles your business, he's not making the fights for you. Who do we blame? Do we blame Bob and Al, or do we blame Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford?
Both.
All four?
All four.
All four of these motherfuckers.
All four of these motherfuckers. I mean, look, we both shitted on Errol Spence. He is a duck, but at the end of the day, all four of them do have a role to play in this.
They do all have a role to play in it. Because as much as you said, like we said, we've dogged on Errol Spence. If you Terrence Crawford and I would dog walk Errol Spence. It don't matter. Set me up in the backyard. I'll fight. You know all that shit they'll be saying. Take whatever PBC offered you. If they give you 70-30, then take the 70-30, Terrence Crawford.
Just put the pride aside.
Put the pride aside.
Go out there, show you're that dude, dog walk Errol Spence, and there you go.
And then you'll be getting 70-80% every fight thereafter. Promise that. But if he's willing to swallow and put his pride to the side, which it seems like he's not, because that's the only way. Errol Spence has been on Instagram joking about that shit, talking about, the 70-30 his ass. I should 80-20 his ass. So I know that would be a deal breaker. But if Terrence Crawford just straight up said, I'll take it, then what's your excuse?
But at the same time, Errol Spence, he's in that same boat, talking about he don't need a tune-up fight. Then what's the problem? What's the deal? Why can't we get a fight going?
I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, because the whole cleaning up my side of the street involves getting Ugas out the way. Okay, let him get Ugas out the way. But if he does not fight Terrence Crawford after he beats Ugas potentially, then I'm done with talking about this fight. I'm absolutely done. Awkward silence.
It's not gonna happen.
It may not happen, man. And as sad as that shit sounds, it probably won't happen. So last but not least, with the boxer card we were talking about, Clarissa Gwoat, self-proclaimed so-called Shields, is fighting her opponent to see if she can win and take on Savannah Marshall. That's a fight that needs to happen. Okay? But in the meantime, the second fight that we were supposed to get, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, is fucking happening, bro. Shout out to women's boxing for like the third time on this episode. It's a main event. First time a women's ever headlined in Madison Square Garden. Shout out to that. Much respect, man. Gotta give Jake Paul and Eddie Hearn much respect on that one. I can't say nothing bad about it.
I mean, to me, it feels like both UFC and boxing, but it feels like women's combat sports, they always seem to get shit done more than the men do.
They do. Good point. They was pointing out on the professionals. I believe it was Timothy Bradley, Andre Ward, and it's like, obviously we hearing it because they on television in front of millions, but they say basically the same shit we say, and it's ironic. Men have a tendency to feel themselves out first couple rounds, and we notice it. Women go in there first round, handle business. They ain't no feeling around. But that's just the women's nature of the sport when it comes to combat. UFC's included, MMA. Man, I'm consistently on a percentage basis, not even talking about whole mass because there's more men's fights, but even on a percentage basis, we don't get as many bad women fights as men fights.
Oh no, not even close.
So the closer we get to that, we're gonna be giving our predictions on that. But again, the women's has a lot coming up for him in the boxing world. But then Chris Eubank Jr. is back against Liam Williams, and I'm anxious to see that because Chris Eubank Jr. is legit. He could be a player in the game at 160, 168. And watch the performance he puts on. I really do feel Chris Eubank is on the verge of a huge performance right here. Yes, that's my prediction.
Like
you asked me what 2-3 times if Keith Thurman's gonna be a dominant UD. I don't see the fight going a distance. Eubank Jr. will be dominant. He will look good after his fight. He may be a fucking player in the Canelo saga. Who knows? But
I mean, earlier
I
did predict. I felt it was gonna be an 8-round stoppage.
Right, and I'm letting you know it's gonna be dominant. But we was talking about Keith Thurman. The whole pay-per-view deal, this whole $75 and you ain't been in the ring for a minute. Sometimes Thurman and like I alluded to, Mario leftovers from Tank Barrios. $75 motherfucking dollars, man. Come on, man. Man, I gotta call family members up, chip in $5 at the door just so we could get some chips and dip. Like,
I mean, it's
just
not,
to cover the cost.
Hey, it's not just this fight. It's just about with every fight.
It's PBC. Let's not beat around the bush. It's the PBC. They putting on this supposedly television mantra that they alluded to, but apparently the money's not coming in. They overpaying fighters. Keith Thurman is the most watched free television fighter of all time. His fight against Danny Garcia and his few fights before that were averaging like 2.5 to 3 million viewers. But he was fighting on Fox and FS1 and stuff. But all of a sudden they want to put it on pay-per-view. I get he's great, but your model at the beginning was so great and Thurman was leading the way. Great top welterweight. He was the number one welterweight. And then he's on a free model. I know so many casuals that know Keith Thurman. I really do.
Basically what it boils down to, not every fight needs to be on pay-per-view.
Not at all. And this is a perfect card to put on regular television. Thurman coming off a long layoff. Barrios coming off a loss. Santa Cruz fighting another championship. Jesus Ramos is back, a young, great prospect. This would be absolutely amazing on Fox regular television, and I firmly believe would garner upwards of 3 million viewers like it has in the past, and the totality of card would make people crave more. But not anymore. Fuck all that is pay-per-view.
No, when I was saying it was all fights, I'm not just talking about boxing. Because I don't know if you've heard, Dana White upped the prices for pay-per-view, and now every UFC card for this year is going to be $75.
He's trying to match the boxing mantra, and he sees people willing to pay it, and he, my opinion, he has a more loyal fan base than boxing.
Oh, without question.
UFC has a more loyal fan base than boxing.
Without question.
Yeah, I believe that. So, swing it all around, the Ortiz Martin shouldn't have been on pay-per-view. Had that been on regular Fox, wow, that was a great card with Gerald Washington and others. Again,
Hands were thrown
all
that night.
heavyweight Frank Sanchez.
Bombs were thrown all night.
Yes, all night. And that is exactly what you need on regular television to get the buzz growing. This Thurman, that'd be a huge, great follow-up.
That's what attracts casual.
But this PBC shit and this pay-per-view mantra is just not getting it done. It's really not. I'm predicting less than 50,000 buys. We'll see what it comes out. Less than 50. May even go less than 40. You know, because Tank is over here supposed to be a star, and his shit did 60, 70, and he was supposed to, against Barrios, it wasn't nothing. But against Santa Cruz, it was like 100, 200K. Apparently Jake Paul and Woodley too flopped. Didn't do 100K compared to his first one. I can't see Keith Thurman and Barrios fucking doing 100K after those two flopped. It's not the right time. They shooting themselves in the fucking foot. I'm going less than 40.
So is that confirmed that Jake Paul didn't sell that well in his last fight with Tyron Woodley?
Again, no, nothing will ever be confirmed, man, because you know they don't release pay-per-view numbers. Right. We've talked about this before. So not only do we not know if it's a flop, we also don't know if it's a success. But if you notice, we've alluded to before, when Floyd Mayweather's and such, when they sell well, they let you know. But when they don't sell well, the numbers ain't been released yet. We don't give out that type of information like the Showtime CEO said.
So in other words, yeah,
all
those
on that
numbers
bullshit.
did not do well.
Man, exactly. And when these Thurman Barrios numbers don't come back well, they're going to come back non-existent. So, I mean,
we can't disclose that right now.
So, again, this weekend, a lot of stuff going on. Combat Conversations, UFC Fight Night, whole bunch going on. 2022 is getting off to a nice start. We got a lot coming up. UFC 271, Brooke Khan, Valdez Shakur, Spence Ugas. There's a few I'm probably still missing, but man, hey. Anyway, we appreciate y'all for listening. Combat Conversations, please like and subscribe. Get us on Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on Instagram. We on Apple Podcasts. We on Spotify. We on every single thing, every platform you could think of. Our link is on Facebook. We appreciate all the feedback and comments. Anything y'all willing to let us know, don't hesitate. Please let us know. So, once again, I've been your boy AG, aka the Combat Connoisseur, that boxing guru. Been joined by my man DB. Holla at him one last time, big dog.
Hey, it's been real, AG.
It has been real, cuz. Has been real. So we got a lot coming up. Again, we want to thank y'all for listening. Peace.